This bulb costs $250, and that's just for one side. You normally replace them in pairs, the left and the right, so that's $500 just in parts. The dealership charges nearly $200 an hour, and all of a sudden a simple headlight bulb replacement, you're knocking on the door of $1,000. Yikes! Lucky for you, this can be a DIY job, and I'm going to show you everything you need to know to complete this job for a fraction of the cost the dealership would charge you. In this video, I'm going to show you how to properly diagnose a bad HID bulb. It's not as simple as you might think. Then we're going to go over replacing the bulb in the headlight itself, and you know I'm going to show you how to upgrade your bulbs so they're actually brighter and perform better than the overpriced OEM bulb. Let's get started right now. So you're cruising around in your pre-owned luxury vehicle when all of a sudden you get a warning light on your dash. No big deal, you think. You've changed headlight bulbs before, but this vehicle is different. It has HIDs, which we all know stands for HI. Damn, that's expensive. The local auto parts store doesn't have what you need. The dealership wants $1 million to do the job. So you take a trip to YouTube University. Welcome. HID actually stands for high intensity discharge, and they work very differently from the halogen bulbs that we all know and love. Diagnosing is the first step, and there's typically two components that fail: the bulb itself and the ballast. The bulb is the glass thing that lights up, and think of the ballast as sort of a controller that controls the power going to the bulb. The bulb sits inside the headlamp housing, and the ballast is a silver module that usually sits on the bottom of the headlight assembly itself. My problem was that my light would illuminate initially when it was turned on, but then after about 60 seconds or so, it would shut off. Now, halogen bulbs are simple in comparison because halogen bulbs just have a filament that runs through that bulb, and as soon as that filament breaks, the circuit is open and it doesn't light up anymore. Pretty easy. But HID bulbs are weird. The glass filament is filled with gas, and the current running through that gas mixture is actually what creates the light. It's really strange. All you need to know is that a bad HID bulb can absolutely still light up. So to determine if I had a bad bulb or a ballast, I simply switch the bulbs side to side in the vehicle. If it's truly the bad bulb, then the problem is going to follow whatever side that bulb was switched to. And if the problem is the ballast itself, then it really won't matter what bulb is put into that headlight. The ballast will still exhibit these same problems on the same side. After switching the bulbs around, the problem did indeed follow to the other side, which means now the left side was turning on for about 30 seconds before shutting off. And that's how I determined that new bulbs were needed. It's a simple test, but it's pretty effective. As far as getting access to the bulb to change it, all vehicles are kind of different, but here are some tips. Sometimes there's enough space in the engine bay to get access to the bulbs while the headlights are still in place. Sometimes you need to remove like an air box or a sight shield or something to create more access to get room in there. But sometimes through the engine bay is kind of difficult because it's tight, so pulling off a wheel and a fender liner, that might be the easiest option. Now I'm trying to make an educational video here to show you how to actually do something, so I need a good camera angle, so I pulled the bumper and the headlights themselves so that I could shoot the video just a little bit easier. One pro tip for you that I will say is that the bulbs are relatively fragile because they have an electrode running up the side of them. And if you're putting that thing in and out, you have to be really careful not to hit it against the side of the headlight because that electrode itself can actually snap and break, and then your bulb's junk. So these bulbs are expensive, so I'd encourage you to get plenty of access so that you have a clear working angle and you're not just blindly trying to put this bulb in because you might wreck it and cost yourself a lot of money. To get the old bulb out, first remove the circular dust shield cup. Then carefully pry the connection apart. You can use a small screwdriver or some other sort of prying tool. It's just a friction fit connection, so just a little bit of pressure is all it takes to release. Turning the bulb counterclockwise a quarter of a turn should be all you need to release that bulb and get that thing out of there. Now I've included a link to a headlight bulb lookup tool in the video description so that whatever vehicle you're working on, you can punch it into there and figure out exactly what kind of bulb you need for your application. This car requires a D3S bulb, but even within that form factor, there's some choices that we have to make. Brand and color are the two main choices, and I kind of recommend sticking with the big names. Philip or Osram are the two biggest brand manufacturers, and they supply a lot of the OEMs with their bulbs. And so I know that I wanted to go with one of those two. Color is the other thing to consider. That gas mixture in the bulb that we talked about earlier is what's responsible for the color output. The scale starts at about 3000 K, which is really more of a yellowish light. And then it goes all the way up into the 8 to 12,000 K range, which is going to be a more blue, almost purpley light. This is a preference thing, but if you're going for an OEM look around that 5000 K mark. Now, I could just replace the bulb with another version of the OEM bulb, but I wanted to upgrade. The Osram night breakers promise better performance and actually brighter output than the original bulb, so I wanted to give them a try. Now remember, the Audi dealership wanted about $250 for just one bulb. I bought two of the Osram night breakers for just under $200, so economically, it's a lot cheaper to be doing this yourself and skip those dealership markups entirely. I'm getting cheaper bulbs and they're also way better. That's a win-win. Now, I always suggest that you replace these in pairs because age and wear can change the color output. And if you just do one side, the color might be slightly different. If that's not a big deal to you, then this can be even a cheaper repair if you just do the one bulb that's burned out. The new bulbs go in with a quarter turn clockwise, and make sure that you don't touch the bulb itself with your fingers. I'm wearing some super cool cotton gloves to prevent the oils from my skin getting onto the bulb. Contamination on the bulb can shorten the lifespan, so I'm being very careful to not do that. Put everything together in the reverse order that you took it apart and test them out. My new bulbs work great. I'm getting awesome light output that is actually brighter than stock, and I was able to fix the problem for a fraction of the dealership cost. If you like this video, think about subscribing to the channel. I post content like this all the time. Thanks for watching. Bye.